The Hornets are in Cleveland tonight to finish up a 3-game Eastern Conference road trip. Head coach James Borrego sat down with Chris Kroger to discuss the road trip as well as the upcoming homestand. This is the Hornets.com Coaches Show.
Welcome into the Hornets.com Coaches Show. Chris Kroger. I'm joined alongside by our head coach, James Borrego. We're on the road as we round out a 3-game Eastern Conference road trip, and we'll get ready for a tip-off tonight. We'll round it out with the Cavs, 7 o'clock tip-off. You'll be able to watch it on Fox Sports Southeast. I've got the call alongside Matt Carroll on WFNZ. And, Coach, we'll just talk about the trip so far, 1-1, and I think you go back to Friday night. Obviously, it was tough. Again, another one-possession loss in Philly to a good Sixers team. But let's talk about the process of it. I thought to battle back from 21 down for your bench to kind of chip away.
Just use the process.
I didn't mean to do that, but to just chip away and chip away, and then ultimately kind of hand it back to Kemba, who caught fire in the fourth, and you guys built a 5-point lead with 1:16 to go. I mean, I know you were proud of your guys for what they did to come back in that game.
Yeah, they battled. I mean, we didn't play great early, especially second quarter. Got down big. Did not start the second half, like we typically do. We're usually pretty good starters in the third quarter, but, our second unit came in, gave us some juice, and then Kemba came back in and reignited us, got us back in that game. The guys battled against a very good team on the road. Disappointing loss, 1 point, another 1-point loss, but I feel like we're getting better through this. We're learning, we're growing, and it's the great Theodore Roosevelt, the man in the arena quote. And I think we're right there. We're in the arena every single night. We're battling every single night other than one game. We're right there. So, we'll continue to battle. That's a very good team. I was really proud of their effort, though, and really how they closed that game. The execution, the shots we were getting, the spirit we played with down the stretch was really rewarding.
I know you try to move on, and you got to move on quickly in this league, but when you get the 2-minute report that comes out the next day, I believe it is well-intentioned for the league to have transparency, right, and to try and say, hey, here's what we thought happened. We went back and reviewed and said maybe we missed some calls, or there were things that we should have called and we didn't call them. For you, how do you feel as a coach? Does it grant you closure to look at a 2-minute report like that, or does it almost open up that wound again?
If they could go back and reverse it, I guess you'd feel a little better. It's over with. You got to move on. I know what I saw on film. I know what I saw live. It just opened up the wound again. I sort of moved on, and that night get the report out. At least the NBA said, look, we made a mistake here in these certain areas. And I get what they're trying to do. I get that. But for us as coaches, we got to move on. We got to move our team forward. And I think we did that yesterday, in the game at Detroit. We put it behind us. We used it as fuel and came out of there with a really good win.
So that was a 2-point game Sunday afternoon, kind of a quick turnaround. And they're a physical team. And you got 2 double-double machines and Blake Griffin and Andre Drummond. And they were, doing a pretty good job on the offensive glass early on in that game, and then the third quarter things kind of turned. So what changed to kind of spur that run and for allow you guys to push that lead out?
Well, I think it was our defense again. Held them to 36%, and we were getting out and getting stops and running. We got some really good looks there in transition to start the third quarter. So we were battling. You have to battle on the board against those guys. First half, we battled. We just didn't come up with enough rebounds there defensively, but to start the third quarter, we did. We got some stops, got outran. Marv hit a 3. Lamb hit some shots, Kemba got going, but it's really generated off our defense.
And almost in those situations, as crazy it is to say with the talent level in this league, the difference is maybe extending a little further to tip a ball up, right? Those contested balls, those 50-50 balls, and those, it's just funny how it works. Those seem to start going your way in the third quarter, and guess what? You started getting stops, and you started getting some runouts and points off of them.
Yeah, sometimes, you play harder with more urgency. Somehow the ball finds your hands. We got those 50-50 balls. We scrapped out a couple others on the board. Did a really good job on Blake Griffin in the post. I give Marv a lot of credit, but our entire defense a lot of credit. We were trying to sandwich Drummond down there on the board, so it took a lot of multiple efforts defensively to get this done, but give our guys a lot of credit. They bounced back after a tough game against a very good Detroit team.
And you talk about Michael Kidd-Gilchrist in that game, goes down with an ankle injury. What's the status update on Mike? How we looking with him right now?
I think he could miss some time.
Yeah.
How much time, I'm not sure, but he's a major part of what we're trying to do, and A lot of our wins this season, he's a major part of that. So we're going to miss him, but next man up, and we'll be ready to go tomorrow.
And maybe that opens up a spot, who knows, for a guy like Dwayne Bacon, who showed himself just incredibly on Friday night, 15 points off the bench. He was a big reason why you guys battled back against Philadelphia, and he's an example of a guy kind of staying ready and waiting for his number.
He's been great. I mean, he had a really good summer, had a good, training camp. We're just, our hands are tied a little bit with numbers, but he's pushing the envelope. He's getting better every single day. He's working hard in practice on both ends of the floor. He's a defender. He's physical. He can get to the rim, and I think we saw that in that Philadelphia game. He belonged in the game. He stood out. He made shots. He made the right play. He's a really good passer. He's got a physical presence defensively. So, with this injury, he could slide into the rotation somewhat, but just another opportunity, and you never know when your shot's going to come. And for Bacon, it came the other night, and it could come again here against Cleveland.
Obviously, every game is hard. It's so hard to win any game in the NBA, especially on the road. But when you look and look at 2 wins already over the Miami Heat, you got a win over Detroit, who's in the playoff picture right now, a win over Orlando. They're hanging around in the playoff mix right now. Those wins matter. And so I know it's early in the season. It's October, November, but those have meaningful implications when it comes to March and April, and we're talking about the playoff picture.
Yeah, these are all teams that we're going to see down the road. We're competing against, trying to battle our way into playoff contention. And I think our guys understand that. They understand the urgency of these games. And really, at the end of the day, they count them all. All 82 games count. And so we approach it one game at a time. Cleveland's the next most important game. That finish off this road trip 2-1, but our guys got to come out with the right urgency, right respect, play the right way. But I think they've done that in those road games that you talked about. These are all very good teams, well-coached teams that are going to stay in the mix throughout the season.
3-4 mark on the road, and that's going into tonight against this Cavs team here in Cleveland. We'll take a timeout. We'll come back on the other side. We'll talk about what's up after this one, which is a 3-game homestand for the Hornets, which will be big too. So we'll do that next, right here. Chris Kroger, James Borrego on the Hornets.com Coaches Show.
When you need to get to the game, but your gas light threatens to keep you on the sidelines. Pull up to Exxon or Mobil to score savings courtesy of Exxon and Mobil Rewards Plus. It's easy to earn points. Swipe your card, enter your phone number, or pay with the Exxon Mobil Speed Pass Plus app and earn points automatically on every fill-up. Hugo earns points on every gallon. Then he cashes them in to save on snacks or his next fill-up. Sign up for Exxon and Mobil Rewards Plus and start scoring savings today.
Chris Kroger, head coach James Borrego. It's his birthday, by the way, yesterday. So happy birthday, by the way, Coach.
Thank you.
41?
41.
Don't look a day over 41. James
41.
Borrego.
More grades.
Yeah. Well,
especially this head coaching thing, you get even more grades.
You start to feel the pressure a little bit. But we'll be back. We had a road game tonight. This will round out a 3-game Eastern Conference road trip against the Cavs, and then we got a 3-game homestand, which will be nice as we get close to the holidays. So that'll be great at Spectrum Center. We'll take a look at where we're at right now, which is pretty remarkable when you think about where this team is. 4th in offense, 5th in net rating, 5th, I believe, in point differential, plus 91 in terms of point differential on the year. Wins are by nearly 19 points per game. The losses have come by only 5. 4 of the 5 losses or 5 of the 6 losses rather have come by a combined 10 points, right? So it's kind of wild. When you look at some of these numbers, these are good barometers for your team. So how do you feel like you're standing right now?
Well, we're right in the mix. We're right where we want to be. I think we're trending the right way on both ends of the floor. I think our offense is, it's in a solid place, both with our starters and our bench, and we're getting better down the stretch in the 4th quarter. And, to your point is, can we close these close games out? We're going to continue to have them. We're in the mix every single night. I believe in our group, no matter if we're on the road, at home, no matter who we're playing against. We're going to be in the mix in all these games. So closing out the right way, being confident. But I like our group. We're executing very well. We're getting better, using a lot of our practice time to teach and coach and learn as we go. So I think we're in a good place. Defensively, we're getting better. I think we're trending the right way. It probably gave up too many threes last game against Detroit. We got to clean that up. But in general, I think we're where we want to be and getting better.
Kemba's 2nd in the NBA in points per game, 2nd in 3-pointers made, and he's top 5 in the NBA in 4th quarter scoring. So he's had some nights where, whether it was some back tightness against Philadelphia on Friday and all of a sudden he ignites himself in the 4th quarter. That aspect, seeing that up close and personal, the way he kind of dials it up a few notches when it's winning time. How have you seen that from your perspective on the bench?
Those are special players. The guys that in the crunch time, fourth quarter, last 4 or 5 minutes, they really step up. The focus, intensifies. They're not afraid of the moment, which he is not. He's comfortable making the big shot, taking the big shot, making a big play on either end. Taking a charge, grabbing a rebound. He has those winning qualities about him, and I think the group as a whole leans on him. They trust him. We know we're in a good spot when Kemba's on the floor. So, and then adding Tony to the mix, that helps as well in the fourth quarter. Someone that's been there, has closed out games, but it really starts with Kemba and his focus, his intensity in those moments.
Kemba had 24 against Detroit, game high 24, tied with Tony Parker, who had 24 off the bench. For you, you've been around him for years and years and years, but to see the competitive fire and the spirit that he still has, his mannerisms out on the court, and for him to hit basically the shot that iced the game with a little bit of time left on the shot clock even Sunday.
I was a little worried on that one, yeah.
Right? And so for him to have that fire to, hey, I want to take this shot and I want to make it and I want to end it right here. What have you seen from Tony even in year 18?
Well, this is who he's been. He's closed out a number of games, playoff games, NBA Finals games, taken big shots, made big plays. He's not afraid of the moment. But he's one of the most competitive individuals I've ever been around. He's used to winning. He wants to win. He's not going to accept losing. There's someone that's, I think, been in the playoffs every year of his career.
All 17.
All 17 years. So he's willing us, along with Kemba, to get this thing done. And to have two guys, two playmakers, two clutch time performers on the floor together is a luxury as a coach. And I think that the group around them now understand where we're at. And they're going to have to make plays as well. And we trust those other guys around them to make plays, and they got to feel confident to do that. And I believe we have those guys. But I think what we saw in the Detroit game, how we closed that game, the confidence on both sides, if Kemba's on one side, Tony's on the other, most times we're going to get a pretty good shot.
And now we'll get ready for this 3-game homestand after we finish with Cleveland tonight. And you're going to see Philadelphia on Saturday. You're going to see Boston on Monday. And then we'll close it out with the Pacers before we head to Oklahoma City after Thanksgiving. But these 3 teams are 3 teams that are firmly going to be in the playoff picture, we think, all season long. Obviously, a combined 3 points and 2 losses to Philadelphia already. Now they're back on our court. But these are great litmus tests, I think, for your team to see, if they can challenge themselves, right?
Well, we feel like we're right there. We've been with these teams. We haven't, we saw Boston early, but, Philly's been a good test. They're obviously a very good team. They're going to look different here with Butler soon, but our guys are confident. It's going to be nice to be at home, having that crowd behind us, and I think our guys are excited to be back at home. We got one more to take care of, but these are some very good teams, very highly competitive teams. Like you said, they'll be at the top of the Eastern Conference all year. So it's a good test for us, but I think our guys have met the challenge every single game, and I don't expect anything different.
And you guys have held your own at home, now 4-2 at home, and I think that's a great formula to not only be a playoff team, but to improve your seeding in the playoffs, right? If you're talking about taking 2 out of 3 of every home game, I think you've put yourself in a good situation.
Yeah, we got to take some on the road. Obviously, you got to win on the road, but you got to take care of home. And I think our guys feel a responsibility to our team, our crowd, our organization when they're at home. They just play with a fire, a purpose, and we'll lead that crowd behind us. The sooner they get involved in the game, the more fire they have from tip-off, the better for our guys. And I've seen that these last couple of games. I think the crowd's been into it a little earlier, and we want them in it earlier, and it really inspires and helps our group.
And it's going to be fun, too, because Saturday it's going to be the second of 7 classic nights throughout the season. And of course, we're going to have our classic court down again, which we had on the opener against the Bucks. We're going to have 8 of the 10 members of our 30th anniversary squad going to be in attendance. They're going to be honored during halftime as well. So got to get there, and we need you, too. It's going to be a huge game. As Coach said, Jimmy Butler is going to be in the building with the 76ers this time around after that trade from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Coach, happy birthday, okay?
Thank you.
It's good to see you. We will continue right here on the Hornets.com Coaches Show. Welcome back, Hornets.com Coaches Show. Chris Kroger. I got my radio partner with me, Matt Carroll, former Bobcat, 10-year vet in the NBA. And we're in Cleveland. We're getting ready for a game tonight, 7 o'clock tip-off at the Q, and this will round out a 3-game Eastern Conference road trip. And we'll talk about that, Matt, because you look at where this team is at right now, sitting at 7-6. You have an opportunity to go 2 games over 500 with a win tonight. That hasn't happened in nearly 15 months, so that's big. And on top of that, you look at a road trip where if you could go 2-1 on a road trip, I don't care who the opponents are, you've done great work in the NBA, and I think JB's challenged his guys. They know the message tonight.
Yeah, I agree, Chris. I think anytime you can be on a road trip and you win more games than you lose, that's a success. And you kind of look at the way this road trip has gone. Starting with Philly, that was a game we should have won too. Really had an incredible comeback in Philadelphia. Team played tough, showed a lot of toughness through that game, and we had some unsung heroes. Step up with big plays, and that's going to build guys' confidence. And one in particular, Dwayne Bacon, who hasn't played much this season, got in, did a great job, and then we moved on and got to Detroit and took care of business in Detroit.
And it wasn't easy because it was a 2-point game at halftime. The Hornets really did a great job in the third quarter, into the fourth, pushing the lead out. The bench did a great job. Tony had 24, Kemba had 24. Now, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist got hurt in that game. He will not play tonight. I think we might see him on Saturday by the time he comes back, but that's probably going to slide Miles maybe over to the 4 a little bit. I think maybe, I don't know, does that open up an opportunity for Dwayne Bacon on the floor again? It's possible tonight.
Yeah, I think it's definitely possible. And I think the good thing is you think what Dwayne did, as we mentioned, in Philadelphia. And he played great. He got his chance. He's a pro. He's prepared. And when he got it, he took advantage of it. And I think tonight with MKG out, that should open some minutes for Dwayne. And it'll be a little different for Miles, too. Play a lot of 4 tonight. So sliding Bacon into the wing position and let Miles take over the 4. And he's worked hard on kind of learning the plays in the system. And, talking about Miles, the one thing I've been impressed just seeing him is just how quickly he adapts and learns. And, his basketball IQ is very high for a rookie. And the NBA game is a lot different than college, and he's had no trouble adjusting to it.
And then you look at maybe what this game can mean from just a learning standpoint. It's still a young team. It's still early in the season. But, we were in this spot a couple of weeks ago in Chicago. Now, it was a longer trip, 4-game road trip at that time. But you got to that Wednesday, and it's just natural, right? You get a little tired. Maybe you look ahead a little bit and you're thinking, man, we got a good long homestand coming up. But tonight, I think, is that learning opportunity. That game should have been a win or could have been a win a few weeks ago. Tonight, you got to just mentally, more than anything, I think you got to stay engaged to get this one.
You definitely do. And I think the challenge is, the last game of any road trip is difficult. There's fatigue that sets in being on the road. And even though it's not a back-to-back, you still are tired, So you got to find a way to create energy. I thought we had a great shoot around today, great energy for the players, and they seem ready to go and really want to get this game. And heard Kemba talking about the importance of this game, what this could mean. So this is a game where the Hornets want to come in from the start of the game, set the tone, and play with just great energy and urgency.
14.5 points, 4.7 assists, nearly 5 assists, shooting almost 50% over the last 6 games. Tony Parker's been incredible. He had 24 on Sunday afternoon. Him and Kemba both led both teams in scoring in the game with 24 points, and really, he hit the kill shot. We were talking to Coach about this earlier in the show about how, he was probably thinking, no, don't take that shot. And then he drilled it to push the lead back up with about a minute to go. He's been all that and more for the Hornets so far through 13 games.
He really has. I mean, Tony Parker, he's inspiring, to be your 18th year and not just be playing the game. Like, he's out there dominating at times. It looks like the old Tony Parker. He came up to me after the game in Detroit and he said, hey, I could get you 2 open threes a game. You might want to think about it. And it's so funny. I actually was like, man, Tony, you think, yeah, maybe. But he's played that well. Yeah, and just to see what he's able to do this late in his career has been incredible. You talk about his leadership on the court, helping the second unit. We talked about how good has the bench been this year, and that credit largely goes to Tony getting these young guys and young players in order and organized, and it just gives everybody confidence, that presence on the court.
Yeah, how good have they been? Well, they've been the second best bench in the NBA scoring-wise, 50 points per game. They had 50 right on the nose against Detroit on Sunday afternoon, and they're first in the NBA in blocks for reserve units, first in assists as well. So that's the other part. You go look at some of the numbers. This unit, not only they score, but they defend. And sometimes, this is what you love in a bench, right? If you say sometimes with your bench, well, just maintain a lead, right? We're going to put our starters starters on the bench for a little while, get some rest. Can you maintain a lead? Oftentimes, it's the Hornets bench so far that's extending leads, right? The bench is going out there and kind of taking the game away from other teams and kind of taking their spirit away from them.
And what you love about the bench is, like, they're young, they're athletic, they got fresh legs, they get up and down, they defend, they block shots, and then you have Tony that keeps all that crazy chaos, which is great, calm and in order, and it's kind of been the perfect storm to start the season.
And I'll say this too, we got to give a lot of credit to Tony and Kemba, but the third point guard on this team, Devontae Graham's gone on assignment not once but twice to Greensboro. Just yesterday he was named G League Player of the Week. He's been incredible. The Swarm off to their best start ever. They're 3-0 for Joe Wolf, and I think that's also the calming. Devontae's a smart player on his own right, but to watch Kemba and Tony and see how they carry themselves, I think what Devontae's done in Greensboro more than anything, that's a mindset, that's an approach, and he's got the right mindset and approach, and I think he's got two good guys teaching him in the locker room every game. He's
had Kemba Walker, All-Star, Tony Parker, All-Star, to learn from in the beginning of the season, through training camp and the preseason, and I think that gives him confidence when he goes into the G League with the Swarm. He's played great. Player of the Week this past week, so when he comes back here, as he goes back and forth, that just instills so much confidence. So I think when he gets his number called, he's going to be ready to go. And so he played Saturday in Greensboro at the Fieldhouse. They got that win, comeback win, and then he took the first flight he could get to Detroit for that afternoon game on Sunday. And you were there, right? Walks into the meeting room. What happened? He got a standing ovation. Standing ovation. And it just shows the chemistry on this team. These guys are happy for each other. They like being around each other, and they appreciate what the rookie has done. Jump back and forth, that's not easy, but he does something, and the vets and the older guys on his team recognize that, and it was a pretty cool moment for him. So after this game tonight, we will then be home for 9 days. We'll have to fly out on Thanksgiving, but we'll be home, as we always are, the day before Thanksgiving. Get that Wednesday game, that'll be against the Pacers. Before that, though, we've got a Saturday-Monday matchup with Philadelphia on Saturday. It's our classic night. Again, by the way, Hornets.com, you can get your tickets. 30th anniversary team's going to be there. 8 of the 10 members are going to be there. It's going to be a great night. The pinstripe uniforms, the classic court's going to be down again, so it'll be great. But then you'll play Boston on Monday, and that'll be our first City Edition night as well. We'll have our Buzz City uniforms for the first time. So big homestand coming up against big teams, and I know it's early, but if you look at the standings right now, the Hornets are in 5th in the Eastern Conference standings, and all those teams are kind of logjam behind Toronto and Milwaukee. You've got Philly, Indiana, Charlotte, Boston. All these teams are kind of hanging on right now, and I think the Hornets have done a good job beating the teams that you would say they're supposed to beat, whatever that means in the NBA. This is a great litmus test coming up, I think, at home during this homestand. It really is, and these are important games, and it puts a lot of significance on why this game tonight is so important. And with 3 days rest before Philly comes to Charlotte, this is a game you have to leave everything on the court and let it all go out there. But like you said, there's important games coming up, winnable games, but can have a lot of movement in the Eastern Conference playing those teams. And Philly, look at Philly, obviously the Hornets are saying, you know what, you're coming to our place now. We're done with you in Philadelphia. 2 losses by a combined 3 points, Matty. Well, and I think if anything, that just gives the Hornets confidence. They know they can beat them. They should have beat them 2 games. And came up just a tad bit short. So this is a game coming back home where they're going to want to get that one more than anything. And Boston's still one of the best defensive teams in the NBA, but their offense has been all out of sorts. They're working Kyrie back out there. They're working Gordon Hayward back out there, and they've got a lot of talent, but they haven't really clicked on all cylinders. So you look at them, that's a very winnable game. And from Indiana's standpoint, the Hornets battled with them pretty closely over the last couple of years. They look to be pretty solid again, but these games are all there for the taking. And at a certain point as a team, right, in a locker room, you guys know this, you want to make a statement to the NBA saying, hey, we're for real. That's right. We're going to make some noise this year. And I think playing those teams, those are 3 teams that basically were projected to be better than the Hornets. And you have all those teams coming to play you on your home court. And this is a Hornets team that's playing well and with a lot of confidence. So this is a big test for the Hornets coming up, but it's exciting too. It's going to be a lot of fun. So Saturday, we got our classic night. You got to be there, 704 Hornets or Hornets.com. You can get ticket info there. And then Monday night too, because we'll wear the Buzz City uniforms for the first time. What do you think of the Buzz City uniforms, by the way? Love them. Yeah, I can't wait to see them. I like last year's too. Yeah. But you look around the league, and I think it's fun. You get to see different teams with different styles, and I'm excited to see them on the court. Black and teal is always a great combo, so we'll see those
out on the court. And really, we've started to see some of the other teams. Friday, Philadelphia wore theirs, their Rocky-inspired uniforms. We're going to see Cleveland tonight wear theirs. They're a wavy kind of mishmash from the 80s Cavs and the 90s Cavs, and they're going to play on their special court tonight, so it'll be a lot of fun. Tip-off at 7. Of course, you can watch Eric, Dell, Stephanie, Fox Sports Southeast. They'll have the call. They've got pregame at 6:30, and then Matt and myself will have the call starting at 7 o'clock on the Hornets Radio Network, WFNZ in Charlotte, but you can stream us anywhere on the Hornets.com, or a Hornets mobile app, so make sure you check us out that way. Matty, I'll see you on the air in a few hours, okay?
Sounds good.